Hey, hey, we're here.
Hello. Hi, friends. Hope everybody's doing well. We want to dive right in today because we have a lot that we want to bring to the table
Yeah.
for you. And I know when we hit a patch where the economy seems a little uncertain, it can be kind of scary, and it definitely doesn't have to be. So, what we're going to chat about today are 10 ways to make your business recession proof. So, stick along with us today. We've got 10 for you so that you can really think about the ways to take next steps to really keep your business safe and growing and scaling in the midst of uncertain economic times. So, Gretchen, I'm going to let you kick off with this. Talk to me a little bit about building an unshakable brand foundation.
Yeah. So your your brand foundation is like if you have a house and it doesn't have a foundation, clearly when the heavy winds like we're having in Texas today, when they come sweeping in, your house is a goner. So it's the same thing with a brand. If you don't have a really solid foundation, you're not going to have a really strong brand. So you found good foundation is like your mission, your values. And a lot of times when you're thinking about recession proofing your brand, you're not thinking about those foundational pieces. A lot of times you're kind of in a panic. You're like,
Yeah.
because we went through this a little bit with 2020, with our own personal business. COVID was hitting and nobody knew what was going to happen. And we're in the health and wellness space. And that was really hitting all of those caregivers really hard. And we were just,
Yeah.
okay, do we pivot? What do we do? And it was a struggle. And so we know that having a good solid foundation with your missions and your values and knowing how to connect with your customers, that makes all the difference in the world at helping to recession proof your brand.
And not just the mission and values, that's a core piece of it, but when you're connecting with your customers, remembering that mission and values and how to fold that in, and also what makes you different from your competitors.
Yes.
So being
Yes.
able to talk fluently about that, I think, is probably something that we have seen really be a differentiator for us and for
Mhm.
your businesses as well. And so the next thing to think about is knowing your ideal customer like you never have before.
Yeah.
When recessions hit, or when, uncertain times hit, consumer behavior changes. That
Mhm.
is okay. That is normal. That is to be expected, because what people value and how they're spending, that's going to shift, and it all depends on who they trust. Right? If they're going to spend money, it needs to be with people that they know are going to take care of them, that are going to respect the time that they have with them. So you should really be asking yourself, what are the problems that your clients need solved right now?
Yep.
Not what they've needed over the last year, over the last 2 years, literally right now. What problems do they need solved immediately? And has their decision making process changed? Maybe even their budget has changed. Or if their budget hasn't changed, maybe the way that they're wanting things delivered is a little different. So you need to be asking both kinds of questions and thinking about what's the messaging that's going to resonate with them right now, so that you're talking in the same language that they're literally thinking in their head. And a
Yep.
really good way to do this, to know what your ideal customers want, just schedule some short phone calls. We're in the middle of doing this ourselves, even with
Yeah.
some of our clients. We're building new programs, and when we started creating these programs, things weren't uncertain. And now that people are feeling more concerned about what's happening,
Hmm.
we're just booking calls and saying,
Yep.
hey, can we spend 15-20 minutes together, just catch up, get to know what you're thinking about right now and what's important to you. So it's a very simple way to do that, and builds rapport with you and the people that you serve, and will give you a lot of ideas of how to serve them even better.
Hmm.
And that will not only continue to build trust for you, but that's also going to help you figure out ways to diversify your revenue stream.
Yes, this is one of my favorite things because just like you have a financial portfolio, or you don't just have a checking account, you have a checking account, you have a savings account, maybe you have some investments, maybe you have rental properties, you have
Yeah.
a portfolio. That's the way that you build wealth. And with a business, you've got to have multiple revenue streams. And that is one of the strongest ways to get through any kind of economic uncertainty, is to have multiple revenue streams. Because when you do have economic uncertainty, like what we may be facing with our economy here in the US right now, you just don't you just can't rely on one single revenue stream. That revenue stream might tank, but the other ones might flourish. So you want to have a diverse number of things that you do. And for a branding or for a marketing agency like us, that can be, that's digital products. We have some courses that we do. We do hands-on work with some of our clients. We do a lot of brand strategy. We do that one-on-one. We also do that with groups and teams. And so for you, that could be digital products. Again, that could be courses, ebooks, that could be memberships and subscription models. If you have those, this is a good time to just remind people why they should stay in your programs and what you're offering, and bring in more value to those people.
How you're taking care of them.
really strengthen that at this point. And then affiliate marketing is also another good avenue. We have a lot of great strategic partners that refer people to our programs and to do brand strategy with us. And that's a very good income stream for us. And then consulting or coaching services. If you don't already consult or coach in your business, it's a good opportunity for people to really see your expertise and understand what you do on a little bit deeper level.
Yeah. I think that's such a good way to do that, and to kind of build up that community of people that will connect with you. And that ultimately goes to helping strengthen your online presence, which is number 4. Mm-hmm. And there's lots of different ways that you can do this, because people, the first thing that they're doing is they're turning to online solutions. They're hitting up Google, they're going into their AI platforms, they're looking for ways to get ideas. And you know, if your social presence is weak, then you're going to be missing out on opportunities. So there's a couple things that you can do to really booster that online presence. I mean, first of all, make sure that your website is fast, that it's easy to use. When was the last time you looked at your website on mobile? If you haven't done that recently, go back and do that. If you're finding that you're hitting a wall with people booking their calls, or maybe they're not signing up for things the way that you're used to, go through and make sure that you're making it easy for them.
Yes.
You know, that's something to really consider. Make sure that your site's easy to navigate. It's fast. It's something they can take action on very swiftly. And make sure that you're building your email list. That is the best avenue that you have to connect one-on-one with your audience. We all know social media can go haywire at any time, right?
Yes.
So by maintaining like good connection in your email, putting out things of value, updating them on what's new for you, that's a really good way to make sure that you're staying in touch and you're staying connected.
Yes.
And then even think about, from a little more of a technical aspect, what are your SEO searches? Like, does your SEO need to be improved on so that you're ranking higher? And Gretchen, I'll let you talk a little bit more about that piece. Is there something specific about their SEO that they could even check on their own?
Oh, that's a good question. That's probably more for a deeper conversation. SEO is a different beast. If you're not, I will say this. When it comes to SEO, if you're trying to do it yourself through, online tutorials and this and that, there's nothing wrong with that. I love the learning process and I love learning, but I would say when it comes to SEO, hire somebody who really knows it. Because it changes so much on a daily basis, and it is different for every type of business. There is best fits all for that.
Yeah, and by staying on top of that and checking in with your SEO team, making sure that they're, keeping things up to date for you, that's one of those things that can really help maintain the strength of your online presence.
Yeah.
And ultimately, what your overall goal is to prioritize that customer retention. Tell us about that, Gretchen.
Yeah, so let me take you back to 2020 when I was talking about COVID hitting and us we're like, okay, we've got to pivot.
Yeah.
The first thing we did was the first thing we did is we got into a group of peers who are also in the same business that we were. And we're just like, hey guys, we're all in the same boat here. We all serve the same types of customers. What are we going to do? And the overarching message there was, we need to go figure out how we can serve these people better. We've got to help them get through there. So yes, we put on our own oxygen mask first, and we tried to figure out what we needed to do to make a pivot. But at the same time, it's like, what could we do to help those customers? And prioritizing customer retention is not going out and trying to get more new customers. It's looking internally and saying, okay, who have we worked with already? Where are they at in this moment in time? Is their business struggling in any way due to what's happening in the world? Can we help them in
Do
different
they
ways.
know that we care?
Exactly. Yeah, so we started reaching out. We did we did some email campaigns around that, but we also reached out to clients one-on-one and just said, hey, would you like to just get on a call, free strategy call? Let's just get on there and let's talk and let's see, is there anything we can do to help you? And we put together a few programs and things like that to just kind of help people that were had specific needs around what was happening in their business and how to kind of stay afloat.
And from a brand perspective, it really helps your audience to feel VIP. Like you're following up with them one-on-one. You're giving them extra access to you, or maybe there's exclusive content that you're sharing just with that inner fold. And that is definitely something that will help your customers continue to stay with you. What else helps improve and prioritize that customer retention, Gretchen?
Just good communication. Keep the communication lines open with your customers, because when you're getting feedback from them, it will show you where you can serve them better. And it's always good to have open communication with your customers, whether you're in a moment of craziness or you're just cruising along. Just knowing what your customers are thinking, what they're going through, really will help you build your business. And these tips, even though we're talking about potential recessions or economic issues or whatever, these are things you should be doing all
the time. Absolutely. And it's those things that make that customer service feel like you've gone the extra mile. And strong brands, we all know, they build strong relationships. And those relationships are what fuels your business. It's what fuels your impact, right? So that's so important to be able to do that. And I think, it really also gives you that chance to become a thought leader in your industry. When things feel uncertain, people are heading online even more than usual. So this is a great time for you to just speak up. People trust experts, especially when they're feeling uncertain. So if your brand can become that go-to source in your niche, then people are really going to end up choosing your business over competitors, because they're seeing you show up and talk about the exact same things that they're experiencing. And it doesn't have to be just like, a pat on the back. I mean, it's reminding them of the strength they already have. It's reminding them of the tools that they have for themselves. And when you can position yourself as that trusted authority, you can do that through several different avenues. Blog content, education that inspires. That's a really good way to do that, so that people can see written content. I know we absorb so much video and social media, so that's a really important piece to build your credibility, but then backing that up with written content. And you're going to notice at the end of our session today, like, we did a whole blog post about this same topic. So you can go back and have that to really use as your notes to remember how to take action on these steps. And doing things like guest speaking, podcast interviews. I personally love this. Gretchen's the writer. That's not me. But if you give me a chance to talk to people, man, that's what I thrive on. And that gives me the chance to not only be seen as a thought leader, but that gives me a chance to help impact a lot of people at once. So it's really being able to tap into my own audience, tapping into other people's audience, thinking about what they're feeling, experiencing, sensing right now, and then saying, hey, here's practical application, or hey, we've experienced something similar, or here's a way to shake things up and push your brand to a new level, right? So putting yourself in that position of a thought leader even more. Most of our clients here are already thought leaders, but doing that at an even higher level is going to continue to take your trust up and up and up with your clients and with new people as well. And I think that, that helps us also to think about adapting our offerings. So Gretchen, talk to us a little bit about that. How do you think about what the market needs right now?
Yeah. Well, I can tell you what we did in 2020, and it will be the same thing that we do if we see, if we see things trending in the same direction, we'll probably go back and do some of the same things we did then. And that was, we looked at economic factors amongst our clients. Again, we talked to our clients and we learned who was really affected by COVID and who wasn't, and who, if someone had already pivoted or their business wasn't as affected as someone else. We took a look at that and we adapted our offerings to fit them and to meet them where they're at. It wasn't a chance to just okay, well, let's just jack our prices up and do this and that because we need the money. it was a chance to, okay, we need we're all in this together. COVID was a worldwide thing, right? We're all in it together. And it's like, okay, how can we help our clients first? And when you put that mindset out there and you're like, I'm going to help other people first, your business will take care of itself.
Yeah, they feel
you're
that.
doing everything correctly behind the scenes and you're handling your books and all that stuff. But if you are, if you're looking for ways to serve your client, it's going to come back to you. It's reciprocity. I can't even, I have trouble.
Reciprocity. Well, and think about it. I mean, if customers are cutting their expenses, maybe you can offer some budget-friendly options.
Yes.
Maybe you can take a package that normally has multiple pieces in it and you pull out little slices. What other things do you think people could do to kind of adapt their offerings, Gretchen?
Well, for us, we pivoted some of our things. So we had some big strategy packages that were very pricey because it was a lot of work. We'd spent several days with our clients. We did a lot of behind the scenes research with their competitors and just a lot of things. And so we ended up taking that and breaking that into smaller chunks. And we delivered a few workshops with that. We did a few one-on-ones with clients where we recognized they don't need everything that comes in that package. They just needed one little piece of it to help them make some decisions and set some different goals and pivot their business. And so we adapted our products to fit what the clients actually need instead of forcing them to go through something that would cost them more money, that would give them more than they needed. We met them right where they were at and gave them exactly what they needed. Not too much, not too little, just spot.
Yeah, you can break packages apart. You can bundle things together. Maybe there's something where your clients need this piece, but they want this piece.
Yeah.
Like, is there a way you can bring those together, that you can bundle it in and help them to see that there's more value there? If you're having conversations with your audience, like we mentioned a few points ago, then maybe you're going to find out that there's a new gap that you can fill in the market. So if you start having these conversations, then you're the one who's agile. You're keeping that business relevant. And a really, really good way to do this, probably one of my favorite ways, is to build strategic partnerships.
Yes.
So Gretchen had mentioned a little bit earlier, if you have affiliate partners, or maybe you have network referral partners, like what are things that you can do to support your clients in a new way? So a great idea is think about other businesses that are reaching the same audience for a different service than you. So for us, our focus is branding and web and brand strategy. But you know what? We know lots of people that their main focus is in email. So we could partner up with people like that to start creating new packages that offer more value for our audience. Maybe there's ways that you can bundle services with those complementary businesses. If you're a practitioner and maybe somebody over here can provide nutrition support that you can't provide. Like, what are those different things you can think about that will really create something bigger and better for the audience at the end? And really even thinking about like influencer collaborations. Are there people in your space that represent your ideal client that you could really do a collaboration with? They could help represent your brand. They're able to spread out more to their audience. You're able to amplify them. Like what are those kinds of collaborations that you can do? A lot of times these might be paid collaborations. There might be an in-kind trade of some kind. There's lots of different ways to think about that, but really creating those influencer collaborations. And you know what? There are a lot of influencers that you already have that you're not thinking about. If you're thinking about influencer, go to your clients, testimonials. This is massive. Start sharing more testimonials. That is an influencer collaboration built in that you probably don't even have to, go and spend a bunch of extra time on. You've got that pool of people who've experienced you and are thrilled by what you have to offer. So you do have influencers already, whether you realized it or not. So tap into that. Give them an opportunity to share their experience and how your services supported them. And then you can build on referral partnerships, on affiliate programs, like thinking about, okay, for us, if we found another partner that we want to put in front of our audience, how can we support them? Can we share about their services and vice versa? There may be a monetary exchange. There may be a promotional exchange. But again, just thinking about how do you find other people with the same heart as you, the same values as you, that can bring more to your existing audience. And that's a really good way to do that. And then there's marketing. Now, Gretchen, I want to hear from you on this. How do you keep up with marketing in the middle of times where you're just wearing all the hats?
Yeah, well, that I've been through that multiple times doing the marketing for our business. So I would say that the first thing I want to say, we talked earlier about having multiple streams of revenue, right? So you'll want to go back and look at your multiple streams of revenue and which one is working really well. Yeah. And if it's continuing to work well, then I will double down on it. Stick with what you know. We do this a lot with brand strategy. We have clients who come to us and say, oh, we're going to do a pivot and this and that. And we dig in and we're like, okay, but what's working? Yeah. Before you make that pivot, before you jump off that cliff and go in this direction, what's working now? And let's keep that revenue coming, because when you have new ideas, you often want to pivot, or in the case of this, where you're like, well, I need to pivot these things for my clients to help them in this economic crisis. What do I do? And you think of all these things that you could create, but time is of the essence. Yeah. And you don't sabotage your own business for the sake of trying to chase something that you maybe haven't created yet or even tested. Yeah. Stick to things that you have already tested, that you know that work, that you know you've already sold to clients, and modify them like we were just talking about. Mm-hmm. Modify that thing that's already selling, make it maybe a different price point, maybe reduce what you're offering inside of it, or even add more value to it to make it even more attractive and leave the price point where it's at. The point is, stick with what works and then nurture that audience that you already have. It's okay to go out and continue to draw in new people. That is part of marketing, and you'd never want to take your foot off the gas there. You want to continue to do that, but also just make sure you're staying in tune with the people that you're already nurturing, whether that's, just fine tuning some of your email campaigns. It's actually a really good time to go back and look at drip campaigns and things like that you've had out there in the wild. Like if you had an opt-in that's been out there for 6, 8, 9 months, maybe go back and just make sure, does the language on that still fit? Or is it, for lack of a better way to say it, is it tone deaf for the economic, where the state of the world is at the time? We did that when COVID came out. We went back and looked and said, okay, let's make sure we're not making people feel awkward or weird because of how we're stating this, knowing that we're in a really weird shift with COVID and people's businesses exploding and all these things. So, that it's a good time to just go back and look at some of that stuff. And then the thing that's really working right now in marketing, and I mean really working, is storytelling. Yes. I will say this, you can put out your normal ads and you can put out the marketing that we're all used to seeing, but the things that are getting attention are the storytelling. And it's kind of flipped a little bit. It used to be like you should, when you're doing your marketing and I'm talking about posting social media posts and things like that, it would be like, talk about the customer, always say you this and you. Now it's more about and because of what the customers want to hear right now is they want to hear how you're doing it. Yes. How did you solve that problem? So you need to talk about that in first person and say, well, I did this with this client and they got X result. Well, yeah. And it's not even just giving them the tips, but that's a piece of it. And then the storytelling is your experiences. Mm-hmm. It's that human to human connection. It's reminding them that you're walking in this together and that they're not alone, right? Or that you've gone before them and you know how to help them soar. It's just the relatability part. If you think about the brands that you follow the most or entertainment that you follow the most, it's because you see a little bit of yourself in it, right? And you're just like, oh my God, I've totally been there. That's hilarious. I can absolutely relate to that. I really, really like to follow comedians. They are brilliant and so good at keeping their finger on the pulse of what people are reacting to right now. So that's a little insider tip, finding out, because there are comedians that have everyday shows. Like that is their gig. And so they have to stay on top of what people are reacting to. So that's a nice tip, but it's all storytelling.
right?
Yeah.
That's just a different kind of format. So I think that's a really good point, Gretchen, about bringing in that brand storytelling and how that can really make a difference for people.
Yeah. And just to touch again on what you said of it being such a human connection point, when there is, an economic uncertainty in the air, people want that human connection. They crave that, and they're going to go seek that out. And if they're finding that on your social media, they're going to connect with you more than they are going to connect with some generic marketing that you're putting out there.
Yeah. No, that's such a good point. And I also think that any kind of uncertainty, doesn't matter if it's economic, any change,
Right.
nobody likes change, right? Good, bad, indifferent. So how do we maintain that growth mindset through change? That is such a big part of, making your business recession proof, of making it thrive, of making it just change proof. Like, be willing to reinvent yourself. I mean, for us, that's what branding is all about. How do we get to take these stories? How do we get to take these principles that we teach or that we follow and tell them in a new way, shine a new light on it? I like to think of it like a prism, PRISM. Like if you held a crystal right up to a window and you see the light that reflects to it and through it. That is the same thing as you reinventing yourself. It's taking the same information and translating it in a new way. Maybe that's something that you do visually. Maybe that's something that you do just in your storytelling. For sure, it should be something you're doing in any written content that you're putting out there. Again, like Gretchen said earlier, go back through those funnels, go through your email campaigns, make sure that those have stayed up to date. But you having that growth mindset and looking at this as an opportunity to reinvent yourself, to shake off where you've been stuck and say, okay, this is actually pretty cool because my audience has a new challenge and I get to rise to the occasion and help them rise to the occasion for themselves. So it's really like all tides lift rising. I'm saying that so wrong.
Yes.
What's the phrase?
Tide.
A rising tide lifts all boats.
That's for you.
But it really is. It's that same idea. It's that we get to connect with more people and help them lift up, and they get to do the same thing. It's also that same idea of the ripple effect, right? That the one change that I make, that my positive growth mindset, my ability to look at things through a different lens is going to spread that positivity, that growth, that concept of reinvention to somebody else. So this is your time to reinvent, my friends. This is your time to show up for yourself, to show up for your audience. And if you're trying to figure out what is the first step, like how do I know where I'm at as a business and how what's working well and what might need to pivot, I want you to go to leftrightlabs.com/quiz. And this is going to give you some insights to where your business is at, to some things you could consider shifting. And it'll be a really good first step, just as that mental exercise around reinvention. This is the perfect way to do that. So again, go to leftrightlabs.com/quiz. And that's going to help you stay ahead of the curve and make sure you're building that brand that thrives no matter what. So take a moment, like and subscribe. If this information is valuable to you, please share this with other people. Throw comments and questions on the comments section of this. We love to give feedback. And ultimately, we are here to answer your questions. We are here to help you get clear, get noticed, and get paid. So thanks so much. I'm Trina.
And I'm Gretchen.
And we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.